Sometimes give us the wake up, sweetness.
Your first time should be more than special.
I'm in, Savannah said. Good Lord, Gemma. When a man and a woman, in this case, really, really love each other. What happens is they fuck.
Ooh, hello?
Oh, dang it, I lost my fish. This next word almost sounds like Quidditch. Quidditch milade Diana Agosiagath an Fiedian. As much as I love fucking you, sweetness, we stared into each other's eyes whilst I moaned in ecstasy. Having consumed half of the bourbon, I keep saying bourbon. You know, every time I mess up on a word, Stunt Mama just shows up.
She had her seductive smile on her lips.
I said we couldn't have sex. I didn't say anything about everything else. Ew, happy to help. Biatch, you are the spark of light and the vastness of my night. His note, like a finality to a beautiful, breathtaking song.
Hello. Good evening. Very low volume today? How's that? Oh, it wasn't me. Okay. I was like, the clips were low volume. Interesting, because to me they were very loud. Let me just check something.
What kind of band is this? Everybody poops sometimes. Give us the wake up, sweetness.
Okay, I don't know, I just bumped it up. I don't know why it was quiet. That's odd. Anyway, hi. I kind of need a new intro thing anyway. I've been using the same clips over and over. So, might need to think of something else. But that's another thing for another day. Not going to worry about that right now. It's good to see you all. I hope you're doing well. Welcome to Thursday. I reckon, based off of how many pages we have left, I think we might have like 2 streams left tonight and another one. I think. Yeah. But then it's a starting soon screen with you sitting under a tree with a book, maybe during a sunset. Well, I have my like stream starting video that plays, but then that other video in between is just think of it as a way to get to know what might be going on for anyone that's new, right? For people that don't know me or haven't seen a stream before, it kind of gives them glimpses of what's happening or could happen. But a lot of those clips are now a little dated, so it could use, you know, a refresher, or I just don't use it at all and I just go straight into, you know, talking. Not sure. But again, I'll figure it out later. What I need to figure out with you guys, though, is this. So if we have, like I said, about 2 streams left of our current book, and I do have another one lined up, but because I'm moving soon, we'll only have, because I won't stream Halloween night. There's no point to that. We'll only have like 3 streams after Halloween before I need to start getting into moving mode. So I don't think it's very fair to you guys or the author to start that book, but I wanted to get your opinion because if you didn't mind, I certainly could. But I'd hate to start it, get a few chapters in, and then go, okay, we're taking another, decent sized break. So I thought maybe just playing a game for a few streams, get the move out of the way, and then start the new book. That's kind of what my thought was. That we should play when you get raided instead, maybe. Just an idea, since not many people here are from the beginning. Yeah, I thought about that too. I thought about doing a raid video. I would want it to be a bit shorter, though. Like 60 seconds tops. Moving is a lot of work, but a fresh change of scenery is healthy for the mind. Isn't it just? Isn't it just? I'll tell you what I need right now, though, is a sip of tea. I've been really out of it today. Kid's been sick, wife is sick. I'm trying not to get sick. It's like, it's kicking my butt. That is absolutely right. With milk in it and some sugar. Give it a little sweetness. It's so good. All right. Let me introduce you to your puzzle. Look at that kitty. I almost tried out a new to me, jigsaw community game that I found. I saw it on someone else's stream, and I was like, ooh, this one looks really cool. And it is, except if I'm not playing, it kicks me out, and then I have to reconnect. Like, after 5 minutes of inactivity. So, no, can't do that. I'm not going to sit there and keep clicking the whole time. That's annoying. Now, that being said, I don't know if it would do that if other people were playing. I have a feeling it would, just because it's, it would kick anybody out that's been inactive for a certain amount of time. So that's why I didn't even bother trying. But, oh well. All right. Stepmom's Mama says, starting a new book when you're done with the move might be the best way to go. Yeah, I would agree. I think that makes the most sense. But with that in mind, I don't really have anything else to share that we haven't talked about already in last stream. So, yeah. Oh, I did promise I would do my push-ups, hammer curls, and regular curls before we started reading. And I did reposition the camera. Oh, I'm going to be stepping away frequently, so if you ask me something and I don't answer, that's probably why. He's having a rough day. No worries, Kay. Just, you take care of you and yours. And the fact that you even hear it all is amazing. Okay. Now you can see the inner workings. All right, let's see. Push-ups first, and then we'll do the hammer and regular curls. I read a short novel online by another streamer. It's being written, but so far it's really good. Had to get my stories from somewhere while you were gone. That's okay. I understand. It's a drug. I get it. All right. We did it. Let's minimize all those. There we go. I started playing a free Steam game called A Date with Death. A little story with choices. A Date with Death. All right. Shall we read a book? Is everybody ready? I am. Don't forget, we'll be in Discord tonight. Iron Flame. It's a good time. All right. We're on chapter 15, page 144. There's only 199 pages in the book, so 55 pages left. And that's why I said probably this stream and then one more. And that'll be it, which is, another one of those happy, sad moments. But we're not there yet. So, without further ado, sit back, relax, and I will read you a story. We set out early the next morning, both now working as a team and eager to get to the farm. After Moverio turned up during the night, we have to get to Minima's, and quickly. If she is the guardian of the stone, then she'll know how we can protect ourselves from the monster. The autumn wind sweeps a festival of brown and gold leaves around the car as we head out of the driveway. It's a blustery day. Treetops and branches sway in unison like a troupe of ballet dancers. It's beautiful to admire, even though the warmth of last month has changed into a cool, gusty breeze. We sit in silence, both deep in thought. Tristan's hand clasps the steering wheel tight. I crouch on his shoulders, watching the scenery slip by, wondering if we're doing the right thing in venturing out to the farm. Has Tristan considered that things could go wrong? Moverio could surface at any moment. Where to now, Xerenyse? Tristan brings the car to a halt where the road ahead divides into a fork. I have to make a decision here and now. Nothing looks familiar, least of all the roads. I always stuck to the fields. I leap onto the passenger seat and turn to him. Tristan's eyes are full of hope, and there's that faint hint of a smile on his lips. The one that sends me all gooey inside. I bring my mind back to the road. Left or right? Scanning the trees on the right, I glimpse a stile leading to a dirt track. Was that the one I jumped over trying to get away from Moverio in his owl disguise? Meow. What's up? Tristan's concerned voice sets my pulse racing. He's counting on me to lead the way, and I haven't got a clue where to go. I scratch at the passenger door, hoping he'll grasp that I need to get outside, see if I recognize the landscape. Want me to let you out? He leans over and opens the passenger door. Down to my level, near the ground, I pick out signs invisible from the SUV. I scurry to the crossroads, scrutinizing the countryside. Is that the abandoned road mender's shelter? The one where I saw Moverio in his human form? I lost my place. Oh, there it is. My pulse quickens. Have I found a familiar landmark? All these small stone refuges look the same. Hey, Xerenyse, wait, I need to park the car. We can't leave it on the road. I bound back to him and jump in. Reversing slowly, he aims the car into a lane and lines it up under a tree. Satisfied, he grabs his rucksack from the back seat and we get out. Further along the road, I scramble onto the stone shelter and allow my eyes to sweep the countryside. You traveled across fields, didn't you? Tristan says. Yeah, roads are too dangerous. So we'll do the same now. You trot in front, I'll follow. And then there's a break in the story. I will follow you. We're taking everything a day at a time. He has an MRI tomorrow morning. Oh, God, I hate MRIs. I hope it goes smoothly. I really do. The old farm comes into view some long hours later. I found it quicker than expected. I have to admit that when I left the old deer, I was a little disoriented, my mind whirling with so much because of Minnie Ma's revelations, that and focusing on getting back to Tristan, not to mention the stress of Moverio showing up. A thin whisper of smoke rises out of the slanting chimney, and my heart lifts. Is that the place, Xerenyse? Tristan stares into the distance, a hand shielding his eyes. Meow. Come on, then. His voice is laced with excitement. When we enter the farmyard, all is peaceful and calm. No strutting cockerel, no ducks quacking in the stagnant pond. There is, however, a suggestion of movement from inside the barn. Erratic thumping starts up in my chest, and I dig my claws into Tristan's jeans. Not as hard when we met up with Moverio, but not far off. He gathers me in his arms and kisses the top of my head. You're safe with me. Pulling open the barn door, a lingering smell of dusty hay and manure floats our way. Minnie Ma walks amongst half a dozen squawking chickens, a basket of eggs hanging over her arm. She appears bizarre, frailer than before, dwindling away. I only left the farm a week ago. Surely she couldn't have changed in such a short time. The difference is striking. Tristan clears his throat and the old woman spins around. Taking a hesitant step backward, Minnie Ma shakes her head from side to side. A choked cry escapes from her mouth as she raises her head. For a split second, I fear she's about to keel over. Every muscle in her body is frozen and her face has gone blank. I knew you'd come. She puts the basket on the ground and wipes her hands down the front of her apron. Not this soon, though. Tristan raises an eyebrow. You did? Yes, because that cat is special. Minnie Ma nods in my direction. She's not a cat, Tristan says, gazing at me with a sparkle in his eye. Isn't she? The old woman's lips curl up into a discreet smile, and she gives him a knowing wink. Take good care of her. Tristan caresses my head. I intend to. Her name is Xerenyse. Good. Now come with me. She leads us into the farmhouse and to the far end of the kitchen to the dull, insignificant door. I know why you're here, she whispers, taking a key out of her apron pocket and sliding it into the lock. I hold my breath. I know what's up there. I usually go up here alone. Her voice is croaky and a stray tear rolls down her wrinkled face. Tristan puts me on the floor and follows the old woman, stepping carefully up the stairs. I tread closely on their heels. When we reach the top, Minima takes in a deep breath before walking down the corridor and entering the attic. Tristan scratches the back of his neck and follows her in. Excuse me. A cuddly bear sits on a beam, and enough light pours through the skylight to make out photos of a young boy with his parents. Hang on a minute. Those weren't there the last time I came up here. Looks as if she's been digging up the past. A choke catches in her throat as she traces her finger along a print of a couple with their arms enlaced. The young woman with short ash blonde hair must be Tristan's mother. There's no mistaking those eyes. The man is a stockier version of my protector. Minima reaches for another photo. A young boy dressed in a school uniform. She hugs it to her chest and wipes her eyes on the back of her hand. That's me, isn't it? Tristan asks. She nods, unable to utter a word. Gosh, I'm so sorry. Frog in my throat. And I swallow past the lump in my throat. Or maybe it's a frog. Grandma? Tristan's voice is no more than a shaky whisper. The old woman reaches up and touches his face. No, my boy. She gives a nervous little giggle through her tears. I'm not your grandma. I'm your great aunt. Your grandmother's sister. Tristan closes his gaping mouth. I don't remember you. You wouldn't. She replaces the photo frame on the beam. I lived abroad until the unexpected death of your parents. Your grandmother sent for me when she fell into depression. I bought this little farm and have never regretted it. Tristan inspects the photos. What happened to her? Minima takes in a deep breath. I've no idea. When she left your grandfather, she came here with a few of her belongings, asked me to keep them. I found that strange at the time. All became clear one winter's morning when I woke up to find that she'd left. Just like that? Just like that. She left a note saying the region brought back too many painful memories, that she didn't want to be a burden, and that we'd all be better off without her. The old woman reaches for Tristan's arm, gives it a quick pat. You're the only You're the only family I have, he says, smiling down at the old lady. Why didn't you come for me? There was a spell put on the farmstead to protect me and the precious gemstone. I couldn't leave here to come for you.
I'm lurking now.
Ellen, thank you for the lurk. But your grandmother told me that the day you came in search of answers, the spell would be broken. And that day is today. Minima pushes a few strands of hair away from her face and smiles up at him. Have you got the velvet collar I gave Xerenyse? She asks. It was your grandmother's. In fact, it's a bracelet. Your grandfather had a ring with a mauve stone. She had the green gemstone bracelet. Rexter, my dude, what's up? How are you? My heart thuds in my chest. That has to be Ostara's bracelet. Tristan pulls the ring out of his pocket. You mean this? Minima's mouth falls open. she stretches out a trembling hand and fondles the ring. Both the ring and the collar are precious, very precious, she says, clasping his arm. Keep them safe because they have special powers. That's what Grandfather wrote in his letter. At the mention of his grandfather, Minima blanches. I'm sure she had more emotion in the past weeks than in her whole life at the farm. And Eldrick was right. I can prove it. She leads us to the far end of the room and, with a swish of the wrist, tugs at a dusty white sheet, revealing the tall mirror framed with gold ivy leaves and the cherub at its top. The one I stood in front of a week back. But why has she covered it with a sheet? Now, come in front of the looking glass, both of you, she says. I swallow hard, knowing what's going to happen. It's a magical looking glass, Minima says, smiling at Tristan. I weave in and out of Tristan's legs, meowing. The mirror reflects who you are, both now and in the past. My heart thumps in my chest. What will Tristan's reflection be? Do I really know the person I've shared the past months of my life with? Are you wearing the ring, Tristan? He holds up his hand. Then put the collar around Xerenyse's neck. She must wear it all the time. It's to protect her. He does so, and I freeze. Eyes gaping, a rush of adrenaline tingles through me, and I can't bring my gaze away from his hand. The ring on his finger is glowing, confirming he is the chosen one. And I want to shout out my happiness, jump, run, do anything to let out of my bottled up excitement. Tristan's wide eyes flit from me to the ring. Yes, my boy. You are the guardian of the ring, and Xerenyse is the one to be protected. With hesitant steps, Tristan approaches the mirror, squeezing me tight in his arms. Why is he grasping me like that? What's wrong, Xerenyse? Or wait, no, he said that. What's wrong, Xerenyse? You clasping me as if you don't want me to escape. Clouds float in front of the sun. The attic has grown dark. My eyes flit between Tristan and Minima, and then from his expressionless profile to his strong arms around my body. I try to wiggle free. His hands are like vices. As if he can sense my unease, he loosens his grip a little and whispers in my ear. I'm scared too. I know what you look like. I'm worried about me. I take in a deep breath and relax before turning my gaze to Minima. Sitting in her rocking chair, she smiles back at me with a nod of the head. Tristan moves into the reflecting surface of the mirror, and I squeeze my eyes shut, afraid of what I'll see. Oh my God, Xerenyse. You're beautiful. When I allow my eyes to flicker open, my breath catches in my throat. I stand as Xerenyse with Tristan's arms wrapped around me from behind. He towers above me, his dark hair resting on his shoulders. Clad all in red from head to toe, twinning cords of muscle shape his forearms and calves. A bronze torque clasp each wrist, and a gold band circles his head. He's a true warrior, a soldier, the guardian of the ring, Thuriel's descendant. I stare at our reflections, and Tristan's lips curve into a playful smile. My pulse quickens, and he squeezes me tighter. My heart's beating faster, too, he whispers in my ear. His warm breath sends delicious shivers through me, and I can't help myself. I swivel around in his arms and caress his cheek. Smiling, Tristan places his warm hand over mine. Without warning, a ray of golden white light escapes from the mirror and shoots towards us. Tristan drops to his knees, and I shoot out from his arms to take refuge under a nearby divan. A yowl tries to escape from the back of my throat as I observe him rise to his feet, arms extended high above his head, the ring aglow on his finger. His reflection in the mirror takes on a reddish tone before crimson darts shoot from his eyes. Each tiny missile hits the gemstone on Tristan's finger until the attic fills with brightly colored spangles. From the foot of the mirror, a thread of fiery smoke weaves upwards, and the air is filled with a mesmerizing hum. As the murmuring grows louder, the mirror shakes. At first, the crack is barely visible. Inch by inch, it snakes across the whole mirror until, as if released from a catapult, fragments of glass fly outward. Tristan protects his head. To my utter astonishment, the pieces float to the ground in slow motion, like huge flakes of snow before they shine ice blue on the floor. I slide out from my hiding place and trot up to him. He reaches out to take me into his arms. Are you okay? Despite my racing heart, I nudge my head against his chest. Minima seems unaffected by the whole scene. You have received the power through the ring, she says, coming forward. What power? The power to keep evil at bay and protect. The carrier of the stone. Tristan stares down at me. She also represents the gateway to immortality for the evil one. His great aunt adds, How can I protect her? When the ring and stone glow, they'll produce a protective shield around you both. Tristan rubs a hand over his chin. How can you be sure I'm the protector? You saw the reflection, didn't you? You are the chosen one. The one to protect Xerenyse. By doing that, you'll stop Maverio from ruling over this world and the underworld. Tristan's eyes widen. Morverio? That's the name mentioned in Grandfather's letter. He's the horror who is after Xerenyse. Tristan turns to me. Is he the man who came to the house? I meow, and Tristan rakes a hand through his hair. Minima stretches out a shaky hand and grabs his arm. He needs to sacrifice Xerenyse to gain immortality. Tristan gasps. So that's what Grandfather's letter meant about a sacrifice. And once he's immortal, so will all his ancestors. They'll bring on misery by spreading their evil. I stare up at them both, relieved that Tristan is now aware of what I'm up against. His great aunt couldn't have been clearer in her explanation. At least he's aware of what lies in store for us. Minima stoops to pick up a piece of the mirror and holds it up to him. Take this and keep it safe. You'll need it. He's about to speak. The old dear puts a hand over his lips. Believe me, take the fragment. Tristan shrugs but obeys, and we follow his great aunt out of the attic. Back down in the kitchen, Tristan slips the piece of mirror into his rucksack. How long did Xerenyse stay with you? He asks. Minima peers down at me. A little over 5 months. She arrived injured, and I took care of her. Tristan sucks in a sharp breath. She must have been really messed up. She had a sprained leg. Nothing I couldn't tend to. She wanted to stay, but I made her leave to get back to you once I saw who she was in the magic mirror. Tristan shoots a questioning glance at his great-aunt. Evil lingered outside the farmstead. I felt it in my bones. If the cat had ventured outside the boundaries of the farm, the Wicked One would have clamped down on her. The only protection I had was the invisible barrier that surrounds the property. Unwell. You're my radio while I drive to dance? Nice. And now, welcome back to Reading FM. Don't drive off the road. You mean you have magic powers too? Tristan asked. Good Lord, no. The old deer chuckles. When your grandma came to stay all those years ago, she brought her velvet bracelet with the family crest embroidered on the inside. Minima nods in my direction. That has powers, not me. There's a brief silence before Tristan speaks. Why don't you come back with me? I don't like the idea of you staying here on your own. Minima raises a hand, cutting him short. I'm too old to move away from here. My bones ache, my mind is confused, and it takes longer for me to move. Besides, how would I get about? I'll come for you. Tristan's voice shakes with emotion. You've got better things to do than to visit an old, doddery woman. I must admit, the old dear had aged a lot, but she shouldn't underestimate herself. There's more life in her than in some teenagers. Having lived secluded like a hermit, though, she may want to finish her life in the peace and quiet of her farm. I'll come back to visit, Tristan says, brushing a hand over his eyes. Fresh tears trickle over the wrinkles on her cheeks. I'd like that. The lump in my throat is about to choke me. His great aunt strikes me as being tired in the dim light, her drawn features betraying her weariness. But he's made her happy. Don't be sad, Tristan, my boy. You have a great future ahead. You're in the prime of life, and there's so much to be accomplished. And from what I saw in the mirror, you've found your companion. You can be part of my future, he insists. Minima shakes her head. I've done what I promised your grandma. It's now time for me to move on. The old woman wraps her shawl around her frail body, a hint of a smile etched on her face. We've only just met, and you want to leave already. Tristan isn't ready to give in. Promise me that you won't go away just yet. I want you to talk to me about Grandma. I finally found a person who is linked to my past. You can't just up and go without giving me answers to all the questions bottled up since my childhood. He's right. It wouldn't be fair. The way the old deer looks at him, she knows it too. Please say this is farewell and not adieu. I sit and stare up at them. The word adieu hurts. It's definite with no coming back, ever. The last time I heard it, a part of my world crumbled away. I know the pain Tristan feels. The pain I carried on my chest when Mama left this world was indescribable. But I survived, and so will he. An awkward silence sets in before the old woman nods. "Thank you," Tristan whispers. Minima stretches on the tips of her toes and places a light kiss on Tristan's cheek. Turning to me, she crouches, cups my chin, and whispers, "Love him. Since his family passed away, he hasn't had anyone to give him the love he needs." And that is the end of chapter 15. That was kind of a lovely little chapter. Very heartwarming. Family reunited. I had a feeling they were going to be related somehow. I wasn't sure exactly how, but it made sense. But that was a nice touching moment that they shared. Unwell Beauty, if you agree, honk your horn twice. Just kidding, don't do that. This cup of tea, so good. All right. Let me just double check something here real quick. All right, nothing I need to pay attention to. We're on page 155 now. And hello, Ashball. Hello, hello. Don't worry, Ash, we will be reading Iron Flame. Dan, welcome. Just a sense of achievement, I guess. Hey, sometimes people really crave that first place spot, and sometimes they don't. It's okay. So yeah, chapter 15 was a really nice family moment. What is probably the calm before the storm, if I had to guess. But we'll see. Page 155, chapter 16. It took a while for Tristan to come to grips with the fact that he now has special powers to keep me safe. On the journey back to the cottage, he spoke to me non-stop about it, asking me questions to which I could give no answers. The ones I could respond to left him frustrated. I don't know what bugged him the most. The incredible news about his powers and what was asked of him, or the short-lived encounter with one of his long-lost relatives. He spent ages reading through his grandfather's letter. I gave up counting the number of times he read and reread the letter, not to mention the long hours he spent in front of the fire, fondling the ring. I know exactly how he felt. Despair sneaked up on me one morning when I woke up and found my mother had joined my other ancestors. Even though I still had the company of my family, I was on my own to continue with everyday life the best I could. Tristan can get through this. He's strong. Besides, hasn't he been on his own since his adolescence? For sure, he needs time to accept his fate, like I had to accept mine. Life goes on, and so must we. 2 weeks on, I reckon Tristan has come to terms with his mission. With a destiny he never asked for, like me, and the fact that I'm the one to be sacrificed. All this mess was created centuries ago. We have no choice but to comply, or rather, try to find a solution if we don't want the world to fall into evil hands. Another thing that I'm concerned about, or rather puzzled about, is Estelle. Since her unexpected arrival with her dog, Hades, there's been no sign of her. No phone call, no message, nothing. I wonder what's happened to her. The tapping of a branch... hold on. Yep. The tapping of a branch on the kitchen window brings me out of my daydreaming. I jump onto the window ledge and gasp. My family is standing on the other side of the back garden gate. Something serious must be up. They only come to me when I'm in danger, and right now, I'm not. I manage to squeeze through the gap in the open window and jump down into the garden. So glad Tristan always leaves a window open for me to get in and out of the house. "What's up?" I call as I gallop to the gate. "We said we'd come for you," Great-Grandma says. "It's Samhain tomorrow, and we're ready to send Mavorio through the stones." That means after tomorrow night, I won't be a cat anymore. I want to scream out my joy. "If all goes well, my love, yes." Mama looks as happy as I feel. "Can you make it to the Druid Stones, child?" Nana asks. "Of course. You need me, and I wouldn't miss this for the world." "We'll see you tomorrow, then, at sunset, little one," Great-Grandma adds. "And be careful." They float away over the fields, and I push my way back in through the window. Tristan is in the lounge working on some kind of paper in front of the fire. Autumn has set in for good. I come to sit in front of him and butt my head on his legs. "Got something to tell me?" I meow and head into the hallway. "Oh, come on then, lead the way." I race to his study and leap up onto the desk, glad he's quick on the uptake. He follows and sits in his leather chair, giving me his full attention. I tap my paw on the last date of the calendar page. "Halloween," he mumbles. I turn my head and lick his hand. "Are you trying to tell me there's somewhere you want to go?" Meow. He rubs his chin. "I know it's a special time for witches and all that. I just don't think you should wander out of the garden on your own. It could be dangerous. Do you understand?" I lift my head and squeeze my eyes shut. "Got the message loud and clear, but I'll be safe with my gemstone collar." "I guess this must be pretty important. Otherwise, you wouldn't go to this trouble to show me." "You got it. Mavorio is going to be sent to hell at the Druid Stones." His eyes flit from me to the calendar. He doesn't utter a word. My stomach pulls. He's not going to let me out of the house. He reaches out and cups my face between his hands. "I'll come with you." I pull free from his hold and spin round and around. He chuckles, and I spin faster. I couldn't be happier. After our last encounter with Mavorio, I could do with someone to defend me should the occasion arise. But after tonight, hopefully he won't bother me anymore. My family is convinced they can send him to the underworld. With my front paws on Tristan's chest, I rub my head under his chin. My mind swims and my stomach churns. Deep inside, butterflies are having a ball. I've got it bad for this man. There's a break in the story, which means I'm going to take a sip and also double check. Okay, we have about 9 minutes before any ads start. Sometimes I forget to check. That's good tea. We set out for the stones just before sunset the next day. Not to the summer megaliths, but to the weather-worn, rough pillars of darkness on the other side of the Broceliande forest. Tristan parks the car on the outskirts of... It's French. Trying to speak French. On the outskirts of Plélon-les-Grands. Oui. And together, side by side, we leave the last houses. A group of young kids dressed in black pointed hats, carrying lanterns, skip across the road in front of us. "Look, a black cat with a glowing collar," one of them yells. "Hey, mister, can we borrow your cat for our party?" Is this idiot serious? Tristan chuckles and I take a step closer, just in case the little squirts decide to make a dash for me. "Sorry, lads. We have an important meeting with a bunch of witches, wizards, and ghosts." The youngsters crack up laughing and give us thumbs up before marching on. If they only knew the half of it. Sniffing the air, I scan the countryside. All is calm, yet I'm on edge. The fog drifts low on a lake until a light wind sets it in motion. I move off the road and down the lane. At times, I glance over my shoulder to see if Tristan is following. He is. High bushes on either side of the track blot out the moonlight. I have no problems finding my way. Might not be the case for Tristan. Shit! He stumbles and I scoot back to him. "I'm fine." He stoops and rubs the side of my face. "My eyesight's not as good as yours." He's right. I still can't get over how well my eyes react in the dark. Another advantage of being a cat. A sharp crack breaks the gloomy silence. Shh. Tristan heard it too. Body lowered to the ground, I take one slow step at a time. A barn owl moans under the howl of the October wind. Unmoverio automatically comes to mind. We both glance up. A bird springs off a branch and spreads its wings, fleeing through the trees. I let out a long breath and turn to him. "You're scared, aren't you?" he says, crouching beside me. I muzzle my head in his hands before squinting up at him. "I promise no one will harm you." He brushes the side of my face with his fingers, and I lean into him. I need to hear him say that. Need to be reassured. "Come on, lead the way." Some folks say autumn is a gloomy time of year, that life fades away. Not for me. It's a time when nature sheds its multicolored red and gold leaves to prepare itself for the long winter rest. A time to put life on hold until spring returns. About an hour later, the woodland opens up into a small glade. Ancient oaks strewn with ivy and brambles surround the clearing where the tall stones loom. I make out the silhouettes of my family encircled with a fine fog. With their palms pressed onto the stones, they mumble something I can't decipher. It's enchanting. They raise their hands above their heads, and the murmuring amplifies. My other ancestors stand proud in a long row nearby, holding each other's hands and dressed in different different clothes as if they're doing the final bow. I swear I know how to read. Final bow at a fashion show. Their dress wear changed over the centuries, decades even. Basic shifts give way to more elaborate garments, including larger crinoline petticoats and fancy headdresses. If they're all here tonight, it's because the right time has come to act. Like Mama said, a full moon at Samhain is so rare. They mustn't miss the opportunity. Heavy mist now curls around my legs as I slither through the long grass, panting. The air has become dense and heavy to breathe. Tristan walks by my side, mouth open, gasping too. The gemstone glowing on my collar catches the moonlight, attracting the attention of my ancestors. They glide towards us, and Tristan's eyes widen. Oh my God, Xerenyse. Who are they? They're beautiful. I smile at my family. Yes, they are beautiful. Shimmering in the silver moonlight, they're almost angelic. The aura surrounding them reminds me of a pearly white snow whirling in a winter breeze. Could it be the rings doing? Is that your family? Yes, we are, Nana says as they all gather before him. I'm her grandmother. Her chin is high, face turned a little to the side, like she wants to be seen from her best angle. Hi, Haiti. I'm still lurking in your stream, don't worry. Mama bites her bottom lip, not as confident as Nana. As for great-grandma, pride oozes from her body, her stands taking years off her 7 decades. And you're Xerenyse's mother, right? Tristan takes a slow step forward and reaches for Mama. Her hesitant fingers pass straight through her arm like a feather floating through a fine mist. I observe him, eager to catch his reaction. A lazy smile crawls across his face, and I swear he's under some kind of spell. We can only talk with you, Great-Grandma says, smiling up at him. And only when you wear your ring and Xerenyse has her magic collar. Tristan turns to her and smiles. I'm Xerenyse's great-grandmother, by the way. It's nice to meet you all, he says, placing a hand on his chest. Mama crouches down and nuzzles her head in my neck. Are you all right, my love? I'm fine, Mama. Ready to send Moverio to the underworld? Great-Grandma asks. You're going to send Moverio to hell? Tristan asks. We need to, Nana replies. He won't give up trying to get the magic ring and then to sacrifice Xerenyse. Tristan raises his hand and twists the golden band around his finger with his thumb. Mama nods. Being witches, we turned her into a cat to escape being sacrificed. But if he touches her, like in the garden, Tristan says. Yes, like in the garden. If she's turned back into a human, he can kill her. Great-Grandma takes a step nearer. That's why we are here tonight. To send Moverio to hell, where he belongs. Are you sure he'll come? I ask. He'll come, all right. Why should this year be an exception? I only hope she's right. He's here. Nana's voice is no more than a whisper. Great-Grandma points to the edge of the woods where thick fog comes crawling closer. Quick, you have to hide, and take off your ring, Tristan, or he'll see the gemstone glow on Xerenyse's collar. Don't I need to wear it for protection? If need be, you can put it back on later. For now, we must avoid Moverio spotting her. Ears pointed upward, I lean toward the stones, all senses on alert. The atmosphere is bizarre, and the silence so heavy that it beats in my eardrums. As I scoot to the shadows of a nearby ancient oak, the damp seeps into my paws. Tristan follows, trainers squelching. When we arrive behind the tree, he picks me up in his arms. And ads are starting, because I forgot. Again. Although, everyone in here might be okay. As I scoot to the shadows of a nearby ancient oak, the damp seeps into my paws. And I already read that part. That's right, he picks me up, right? A hazy figure cloaked in a black cape drifts towards the stones. Out of nowhere, the wind picks up, blowing the fog to the edges of the clearing before Moverio slips out of the darkness. Come on, he bellows, arms folded high across his chest. From behind him, Estelle approaches, and my breath catches in my throat. What on earth is she doing here? Speechless, Tristan simply gawks. In the light of the full moon, his face is chalk white. Holding my breath, I watch on, heart thumping in my chest while Tristan's heart pounds against my back. Estelle's skin appears waxen in the Halloween moonlight. Like a druid priestess, she draws her heavy crimson cloak tighter around her shoulders, ready for whatever's to come. The flicker of silver from her headband is blinding in the light of the moon. The broom grows thicker until, like a magic cape, it wraps itself around her as power oozes off the stones. You know why you're here, Estelle? Lavario's voice echoes off the stones, and I bring my attention back to him. Estelle gives a quick nod of the head, but remains silent. You've disappointed me. You brought me the wrong ring, and you let the cat get away. You're no use to me here. It's time for you to go where you belong. Estelle's face turns as pale as the white sphere beaming down at us. But I want to stay. She opens her arms and sweeps the surroundings. I don't want to leave all this and return to the bowels of the earth. He approaches and slaps her across the face. Estelle whimpers and presses her palm to her cheek, her eyes overflowing with fear. My throat tightens as waves of nausea roll through me. Why am I so upset? I don't even like the woman. Have you ever wondered what I want? Moverio shouts. Because of you and that witch of your mother, I've had to fight for my powers. And the only thing I asked of you, after watching over you for all these years, was to bring me that damn ring. Estelle's head drops forward as her arms fall to her sides. She remains motionless. Only a feeble whimpering escapes her mouth. You'll have the opportunity to meet up with that hag of your mother. Maverio's voice makes my skin crawl. I hate to think what it's doing to Estelle. There's not only fright embedded in her eyes, but submission, like she's already accepted her fate. Of course, Moverio has chosen Samhain, the time when only a thin veil separates the underworld from ours. When the dead are so close, it takes one small step to fall onto the other side. From what Great-Grandma explained, it's an ocean of black under a blood-red moon, where silver fumes rise from the water to choke you before dragging you to the fires of hell. How she knows this is beyond me. Witches are dab hands at reciting legends, though. No, please. Pale-faced, Estelle focuses on her brother, the fear in her voice making it shrill. Her huge eyes flit from left to right as the mist curls up her body to her neck. The stones spin like a carousel, ready to fly off its base. They gain speed, and the air around them blusters and whistles until they become a mini tornado. Tufts of weeds and small stray branches are sucked in before the whole shrubs follow suit. I have to do something, Xerenyse. Tristan shouts into my ear. I can't let this happen. Head bent, he tries to force his way through the whirlwind to no avail. A transparent red screen rises around Estelle and her brother, cutting them off from the rest of the world. And we're all left to witness the stones shaking under the strong magnetic force, pulling everything towards them. Tristan holds me close, his heart thumping against my body. I gape at my family nearby. They're mesmerized by the spectacle too. He's stronger than we thought, Nana shouts over the deafening bluster. He's put up a protective barrier, and it's too late for us to send him to the underworld. The stones can only claim one victim. That person is going to be his sister. The stones come to an abrupt standstill, and a shattering crack fills the air as the smallest stone splits in two. In the deathly silence, a beam of bright scarlet seeps through the slit and weaves its way so slowly across the glade to where Estelle stands. Little by little, it inches up from her feet until it settles on her headband, changing the silver to blood red. Deep mumbling fills the air, indistinct at first. I strain my ears and catch snippets of Moverio casting a spell, or is he calling the underworld? He raises both hands, balancing a dagger on both palms, and I let out a yelp. Could that be the knife from the curse? I turn in Great-Grandma's direction to catch her observing me. She gives a solemn nod of the head, and I have the answer to my question. Dread gnaws at my insides as I bring my gaze back to the horrifying mise-en-scene. Mumbling even louder, Moverio lifts his hands high above his head. The blade catches the gleam of the full moon and fires a dazzling beam onto the stones. Eyes wide with fear, Estelle whimpers into her cloak. A clap of thunder crackles through the air like a whiplash, and a bolt of lightning lands at her feet. Shaken by the force, she staggers back and collapses to the ground. A pungent smell of ozone floats through the air, and hazy dark shadows curl themselves around her. Claws emerge from the fog and scratch at Estelle's body, pulling at her skin until it falls in flakes. Writhing in pain, Estelle's once beautiful complexion is covered in crumbly scales, and what is left of her auburn hair is streaked with silver. Her eyes are no more than two dark holes. She tries to cover her face. I've seen the metamorphosis. So has Tristan. The way his breath catches in his throat is proof enough. This music is terrible right now. It's like this happily little jingle while we're talking about the underworld. I'll see you in hell yet, dear brother. Brother? Tristan gasps, squeezing me tighter. Yes, now you understand how he knew where to find me. Estelle cries are lost in the twirling eternity of the underworld, and in the time it takes for me to blink, she's gone. The only thing that remains is her silver headband edged with charcoal. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of the chapter. Oh boy. So they wanted to send Maverio to hell. But now they can't because he sent his sister. So if that's the case, what will happen to him? Nothing. I don't know. Maybe there'll be some sort of interesting twist at the very end. I guess we'll find out. I'm sure Granny has a trick up her sleeve. Probably. Sounds like she's been around the block a couple times, you know what I'm saying? Well, and considering there was a small section in there where we learned that she had described what the underworld looked like. So perhaps, as you were saying, Mad Locust, perhaps there's a another way, for lack of better understanding, and she knows about it. Because Nana was the one that said, oh, there was only one and now it's his sister. But Great Grandma didn't say anything. Great Grandma might know some stuff. She might be over there knowing some things. 2 + 2 is actually 5 in Grandma's book. So here's the question. We're on page 165, chapter 17. Actually, it's very short. Chapter 18 starts on page 169. So that will literally leave us with 30 pages. So I think it would make sense to read chapter 17 and then save the last 30 pages for Sunday. Kind of breaks it up kind of evenly that way. And then, of course, reading Iron Flame in Discord at the top of the hour in about 45 minutes. So, you know, there's that too. It's a great book. But for now, let's read chapter 17. Go, quickly! Great Grandma shouts above the din. Get back to the cottage. Maverio only has a little more than 4 months in which to capture Xerenyse. He's desperate. Time is running out. When she turns 19 on the spring equinox, it will be too late for him. Tristan has put the ring back on his finger and is listening to Great Grandma. Don't worry. I'll get her safely back. And one last thing, Mama says, concern etched across her face. He's a shapeshifter. Tristan swears under his breath and gazes down at me. Not easy for you, is it? And with Estelle being his sister, I now understand why you didn't get on with her. Did you know about this? Meow. Please go. Nana begs as she turns to follow the others, disappearing through the woods. Come on, Xerenyse. Let's get back, Tristan says. My body takes over and I dart through the trees in a desperate effort to leave the stones and join the lane leading to the road. Now and again, I roll my head back around and take a peek over my shoulder. Tristan is following, his determined features stronger in the moonlight. Not one word passes his lips, as if talking would bring Moverio rushing to us. 5 meters to the car. 2, 1. Then I'm there, wishing Tristan would hurry, hoping Moverio won't spot us. It's only when we're safely in the car that Tristan eventually breaks the silence. What an evening. Estelle related to Moverio? The Stones? Her disappearance? Your family? Where's all this going? He slots the key into the ignition. No response from the engine, and my heart thumps like a runaway drum. I gaze outside into the menacing dark. The moon peers down, eerie and proud, as if it's laughing at me. Tristan turns the key again, and I swallow hard, hoping Moverio won't push his face up to the window. Come on, Tristan moans. In the grip of silent panic, my chest tightens and a nervous yowl escapes my throat. It's okay, Xerenyse. We're protected by the ring and collar. The thought of Moverio turning up at any moment never fails to send waves of panic galloping through me. Even with Tristan's reassuring words, I still can't help fearing the worst. After a few false starts, the car splutters to life. Tristan fists the gear stick into first, and we propel her away, dust and grit flying behind us. I push my backside into the seat to keep my balance. Not easy, even with 4 feet. A couple of minutes pass before Tristan eases off the accelerator. His face appears more relaxed, but I'm not fooled. His body language shouts otherwise. White knuckles from gripping the steering wheel, tense leg muscles, and he hasn't stopped biting his lower lip. We reach the cottage and step inside. The place is silent. A great welcome after the chaos at the Stones. Tristan bolts the door, then removes his trainers and coat before opening the lounge window a little. After the cool air outside, the air in the house feels hot and close. He leans against the wall and tries to get his breath back. I know just how he feels. All this running around has made me hot too. The wind howls outside, whistling down the chimney. All I catch is, I'm coming for you. I dive under the coffee table, furs spiking. I don't like this one bit. Hey, it's okay. Everything's fine, Tristan says, peering under the table. We're safe in the house. The ring is protecting us. I know, but I'm still a cat. My family has failed to get rid of Moverio, and my optimism of returning to a human at Samhain was short-lived. I'm going to be stuck in this cat skin for another 4.5 months. That's the bottom line. No other possibility of getting rid of the monster. I have to sit out the remaining months and hope he won't get to me. Come on out, Xerenyse. Tristan's soft words bring me out of my miserable thoughts, and I crawl out from under the coffee table. There's no need to be afraid, he says, caressing the side of my face. Look, I'm just going to pop upstairs to change, and then we can relax together on the settee. I leap onto the sofa and wait patiently for him. When he comes back down, he pours himself a stiff drink before joining me. We sit together in the hush of the living room, the glow from the side lamp, our only company. I blink into the semi-darkness, my mind shifting gears from Estelle's disappearance to Moverio, who's going to be even more determined on the warpath. Tristan runs a hand over his face and stares down at me. I can't believe I handed you over to Estelle on a silver platter to be left in the forest. But how could you know? And I couldn't tell you. I place a paw on his arm. The back of my throat aches. Tristan is blaming himself for all this when it's all Moverio's fault. My mind's growing larger and larger, expanding with rage, ready to erupt. As much as I need to let off steam, it wouldn't do to dash around the room in a wild tantrum. Tristan doesn't need that right now. A knock sounds on the front door, and Tristan's glass halts halfway to his mouth. Who can that be at this time of night? I glimpse at the clock on the mantelpiece. 10:30. He sets his drink on the mantelpiece and heads to the front door, me right behind him. He takes a deep breath, unlocks the door, and in one sharp movement, hauls it open. There stands Minima, tears streaming down her cheeks. And that's the end of 17. But I haven't looked. I did not look at the next chapter, but here's what I'm wondering. We know that Moverio is a shapeshifter, but he also doesn't have the ring. And he kept telling Estelle that he needed the ring to properly shapeshift, other than turning into an owl. So, is it actually Minima, or is it a disguise? I have a feeling it is really her, but I mean, you gotta wonder. I didn't want to look too closely because my feeling is that Xerenyse is gonna look at her eyes to see, because that's how she can tell. I am a little confused about the whole shifting thing for him. Because we've heard over and over that he can't do it without the ring. But he's still doing it as an owl. And it could be that I'm just not remembering a detail. Like maybe that's just what he's allowed to do or capable of doing. I don't remember. So, Miss Saunders, if you're hearing this later, the recording, please feel free to shoot me a message and remind me. Either I'm confused or I just need help connecting the dots or something. I don't know. Delicious. All right, let's see. It is 7:23 streamer time. Got about 30 minutes before I need to do anything else. So let me give you a quick reminder of what the next book is going to be since we have time. It's called Song for Someone. It's a Sherlock Holmes and Irene Adler mystery story. There's the front cover. As I understood it, it's kind of like pre-Sherlock Holmes, like when he becomes the famous detective, I think. Now, I think I didn't mention this last time, but here's the cool thing about the author here. she was raised in a town in the UK that I lived next to. You may remember me saying I lived in a town called Leyland, and I would get on the train and go to Preston. That's where she was born and raised. She was born and raised in Preston. So, you know, had time worked out differently, we could have passed each other on the street and not even known it. So, I think it's pretty amazing, out of all the people that I could have possibly talked to about reading a book, that I would find a book from someone that lived there. That is, I mean, I should have played the lottery or something, because good grief, the odds are tremendous. But anyway, let me read to you the back, and then we'll raid out. Charlotte Sapori has led a wonderful life, safely tucked in the bosom of her family. Her mother, Irene Adler, is a renowned opera singer, with her father, Luca Sapori, while her father, Luca Sapori, does important government work that frequently takes him away from them. Charlotte is close to her older brother, Nico, and they are both doted on by their parents. All is well, until her mother receives an unexpected diagnosis which shakes the family to its core. Knowing herself to be dying, Adler confesses to Charlotte things that have long been kept from her, telling her to find and read her diary. A distressed Luca Sapori tells his daughter to read his as well. And by the way, Luca Sapori is not his real name. In fact, she may have heard of him. He's actually the world-famous detective, Sherlock Holmes. Charlotte finds both diaries and plunges into the hidden world of Irene Adler and Sherlock Holmes as she discovers what brought them together, and how they managed to stay together for 30 years, despite having to battle the odds. Okay, so I misremembered. I think it is how they met, like pre-Sherlock Holmesy stuff, but then it's like everything else and some on the outside. So, yeah, Charlotte is the child of Irene Adler. And there you go. She has a brother, Nico, and then her father, Luca, who isn't actually Luca. It's Sherlock Holmes. So that'll be our next book. Yes, indeed. All right. So like I said, we've got one more stream of Xerenyse The Witch Cat. Thursday will be Halloween, so there'll be no stream on Halloween. And then after that, I'll probably get back into Helldivers. I haven't played that game in ages, and I'm feeling the itch. So that's likely gonna be the plan. And then after that, I'll move, start getting things set up at the new house, and then as soon as I'm able, we'll get right back to it. So a lot of breaks in streams these past couple months, and I'm sorry about that. Just life is doing what life does, getting in the way. Okay, with that in mind, let me take a look and see who's on. Who can we go raid to? You know what? Life be lifing. Night, y'all. Good night, Kay. Take care of yourselves, all right? Please be safe. We haven't rated average aim in a very, very long time. So let's do that. Make sure I'm spelling everything correctly. All right. I appreciate y'all hanging out, listening to the story. One more stream's worth, and the book will be over, it's always a sad moment, but all good things have to come to an end. But until next time, please take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and have a wonderful night.